This is a public comment being submitted electronically by Kristen Lortie in connection with the March 15th, 2021 Dollar Bay-Tamarack City School Board meeting. I'm going to do a share screen so that you can see a presentation that I have created. So that there's a visual to go along with. So I have a few topics that I want to cover because this is being created outside of the Dollar Bay-Tamarack City School Board meeting. This may go longer than 5 minutes. So I'll just state that in advance. This presentation was created after not having access to being able to make a public comment at the March 15th board meeting, as well as not receiving any responses back to communication that was sent requesting meeting clarification and accommodation for virtual access. So the title of my public comment is called Something's Amiss in Dollar Bay. And there'll be 4 topics covered. The first topic is the school district not responding to the multiple requests. I'm actually including the requests so that it's clear to see that I was not responded to, and I reached out several times in what I considered a professional manner. The second item is a high FOIA fee that was charged for review of COVID relief invoices that ended up being 3 times the original estimated cost and is currently non-compliant with the Michigan Freedom of Information Act. And I will show more about the background of that charge. The third item is the continued secrecy and the refusal to answer questions regarding the 2020 superintendent evaluation of Superintendent-Principal Christina Norland. I have questions about that, which continue since the original petition was made in December. And the fourth item is to keep this question out in the open of when will the no trespass directive ban that was placed by the school district on 2 taxpayers be lifted? When will the taxpayers be freed from this board sanctioned injustice placed by Superintendent-Principal Christina Norland? Okay, and I'll scroll down here so that it's possible to see. These are the board members. These are the 7 of you, along with Superintendent-Principal Christina Norland, just for reference that we're talking about the Dollar Bay School District. And the next slide has to do with the inquiries that I made to request information about the 315 meeting. I started on Friday, March 12th at 8 a.m. when I saw that the meeting was an in-person only meeting and that there was no virtual option being provided. As you're aware, there is the option for school districts to offer a virtual meeting, and the Michigan Association of School Boards suggests offering a hybrid meeting, which limits public attendance at the meeting, allows the public to still participate, and yet the board can meet in person as they wish. So I received no response to that inquiry that I sent as soon as I saw the posting at 8 a.m. on Friday morning. At 5:17 p.m. on Friday, I wrote, keeping in mind that the meeting was on the next business day of Monday, and I wrote to all the school board members and the school administration, which included Danielle and Tyler. And I wrote to ask if the school district could please consider allowing a virtual option for public attendance at Monday's meeting. I included several items additionally in the email, but I'm just giving a screenshot of the top of the email. There was no response to that second inquiry. The third inquiry was sent on Sunday, the day before the meeting at 11:43 p.m. And I stated that I have not received a response to my emails that were sent on Friday, and that if Christina is unable to respond, could one of the board members please kindly respond to the request that I had. And then also I highlighted that there was a second citizen who also I know requested the option of attending the meeting virtually, and again, no response. So no response. Now on the fourth inquiry, now that we're on Monday. So on Monday, it became clear that the school district was not going to offer the virtual attendance option, and that they also weren't going to get back to us in a timely manner. But on Monday, I made a different request to the school board president, Don Engman, and the vice president, Steve LeClaire, and also the school secretary, stating that I had received an out of office reply from Christina Norland and asking two different questions. One of them was, could you please advise if the school permits guest access to the school's Wi-Fi? That Wi-Fi access would allow an attendee to stream the meeting for someone who wanted to watch it virtually. And the second question was, is there a way to make a public comment to the school board without being at the school in person? Can a comment be submitted by email and read by the school board? And that inquiry was sent at 1:25 p.m. on Monday, and that was also not responded to. I did receive an email with Danielle with the board packet that had no reference to the questions that were asked at 1:25 p.m. So I'm not sure what's happening at Dollar Bay, but I don't understand why the school district isn't providing citizens with the courtesy of responses to emails. So I'm making that clear what happened, and that I was very surprised that the school district would not respond at all, and that none of the school board members responded to any of the questions and any of the requests for the virtual attendance, even if it was to say that they were not going to offer it. The second item that I'd like to cover is the excessive FOIA fee for labor charges for COVID relief invoices. This item originated in December, or it started in December, when I attended a school board meeting and there was a new agenda item presented by board member Jen Stout about expenditure of the remaining COVID relief funds, and there was no backup included in the board packet. So I had some questions after that, which I corresponded with the school about, and resulted in a fee being assessed in order to be able to review invoices pertaining to two items on the COVID relief. And of the fees that I was assessed, the original fee came on the 2nd. It was provided by the school district on the 4th, of February, the 4th of February. And that estimated that it was going to cost $19.50 in order to view the invoices. And while I'm not happy about that fee, and I don't see why it was necessary given the scope of what was asked, I did agree to pay it. And had anticipated that it was going to, that this was estimated fee, and that it would, the final fee would be this or near this amount. Instead, I received a surprise on February 24th. What I did receive was another email from the school district stating that it was going to cost $58.50 for access to the same COVID invoices that were requested, and an explanation that it took longer than you thought. And so therefore this was the new revised amount. Well, there's quite a bit of a difference when we triple an estimated fee from $19.50 to $58.50, keeping in mind that we were being charged a labor rate of $39 an hour. So that adds up quickly. So when this came, I was definitely surprised and displeased to see this. And I started to do some research on the legality of the fees and whether or not the school's estimate was in compliance with current FOIA allowances, which are not required to be charged, but which there is some allowance if the public entity insists on charging. So I did some research to find out if the charges were acceptable and even allowable under Michigan law. And keyword that is stated in the Michigan law that says, if a public body charges a fee, then the following requirements are, and the public body must comply with the following requirements. Please note the if. As of today, we have still no access to the public information from January. The response, there has been no response to the February 24th fee challenges as of March 15th. And once again, these items do not meet the Michigan law. And the next slide will show some of the details that were presented to the school district that have not been responded to. Okay, so this is 2B, second topic, item B. And this just shows the detail that I presented the school with about the law, about the Michigan allowances, the Michigan requirements, and the questions about whether or not that was met in this particular request. And it starts with our being charged at a rate of $39 an hour. Is this the lowest paid capable employee of completing the task? And I pointed out that regardless of whether that person is available or performs the labor, that is the most that the public body can charge a citizen for access to the public information. So the question is why is Danielle not capable of providing that information? Next item has to do with not charging for exempt and non-exempt, which we were charged for in the second estimate. Third item says that the public body cannot charge for fringe benefits without clearly disclosing it. So is the school attesting that Tyler's base wage is $39 an hour? The fourth item is why the task took so much excess time than estimated. If it was me in my business, if I had told someone that the item was going to cost $19.50, I would have stuck to that. But the school district decided that they were willing to triple that amount, and that was not an issue given the extra time. So why did this take so much extra time? And then the fifth item is that we know that there's an employee that makes a wage of $13.50 an hour who has equivalent skills to, I'm imagining, and actually I'm not sure because Danielle does have more experience, but we know that we have an employee that makes $13.50 an hour. So I'm pointing that out and once again asking about the wage of the lowest capable employee to complete the task, which in this case is simply pulling invoices and scanning them. So I do hope that the district reconsiders this, and I would certainly welcome just seeing the invoices. But regardless, I want to make clear the petition and how the petition appears to not meet requirements. Next item is the secrecy from the school district on the 2020 superintendent evaluation for Superintendent-Principal Christina Norland. So this slide shows that an email was sent to all school board members on the 20th of December with concerns regarding Superintendent-Principal Christina Norland's effectiveness in working with the public, and particularly in conjunction with a certain portion of Superintendent Norland's evaluation that deals with the community. And so we weighed in on that, and we is our citizens group, Uper Cares. We looked at this section. We provided detailed feedback on this section that we presented to the school board. And in conjunction with this presenting, we did request to be updated with the status of Superintendent Norland's 2020 evaluation. So we asked, one, for an acknowledgement of the email that we sent, and two, for the clarification on whether or not her review was completed, whether it was completed, when it was completed, was it completed in the closed portion of the November meeting, and what was her score if the evaluation was completed. We have not received answers to any of these questions. So the email was submitted in December. It was referenced in January and February. It's being referenced again in March. And we still have no answers to the status of Superintendent Norland's 2020 evaluation, which then creates mystery and secrecy. I'd point out that this is different than the way the school handled it last year, where it was posted in the public record. This year, it's not being stated, and we aren't even able to receive answers to simple questions. Noting here that an annual 1% bonus, performance bonus, is attached to the favorable scoring on her evaluation. So it appears there'd be a motivation to complete this evaluation, and yet no response. As of today, no response despite the multiple inquiries, and a question of why is the school district unwilling to clarify the status? So why aren't we willing to let the public know the status of the superintendent's evaluation? And here we have a screenshot. This is just a portion of the citizen commentary. There was also comments on the right, which are available if anyone wishes to write to upercares@gmail.com. These were submitted to the school board, so you're familiar with this, but I'm presenting the screenshot so that it completes the story of what we're asking about. So we submitted this feedback on the Superintendent Norland's evaluation for the board's consideration when they scored her. In contrast, I reached out to a neighboring school district to find out what they do and what their process is regarding the superintendent evaluation. So I did a brief reach out to neighboring district of Hancock and asked Mr. Patchen. Steve Patchen is the current superintendent there. I asked him what was their process. Was he evaluated in 2020? Was it possible to see the evaluation? Was it available publicly? And what was his score? And I had a much different response than I've gotten from Dollar Bay. Mr. Patchen wrote back within 24 hours. You can see by the date stamps here. He wrote back the very next morning. I wrote to him on a Sunday. He wrote back on Monday morning. And he clearly said that once the evaluation is completed and delivered to me, it will be posted for public view. So his evaluation will be made public and citizens will be able to see that. He was very clear that he didn't have an evaluation in 2020, but that they're working towards a completion in May 2021. And they do have periodic references in their meeting minutes about the evaluation. So I just want to present to you, the board, and any public that is watching this, that there is something very different happening at a school district that's just a few miles away. At the bottom of this, you'll see that Mr. Patchen also presented me with a memorandum that showed that there was not a requirement for performance evaluations for the school district administrators in 2020. So it wasn't required, which then creates more uncertainty on whether it happened, especially in tandem with the fact that we don't get answers, haven't gotten answers. The Hancock School District is providing superintendent performance evaluation information with ease. Why is Dollar Bay unwilling to provide a response to the same inquiry? And this next slide is a perspective slide. It is presenting local administrator compensation for the county of Houghton. And I apologize, the slide is a little busy. Feel free to press your mute button if you want to see it more clearly. It has been presented to the school board before, and they've seen it in previous correspondence, but I'm including it here because I have a question, which is why can't the taxpayers understand the performance of the school district's lead administrator? Superintendent Norland is the 4th highest paid administrator in Houghton County. She is the highest paid of the combination over on the right. You'll see the green, the combination superintendent principals. Of the 3, she makes significantly more than Lake Linden and Chassel, which are numbered 8 and 9. One of them has more students, the other one has fewer students. But for perspective, Ms. Norland is very well compensated. Why is it so hard to gain access to her evaluation information? And in the bottom of this slide, I just pulled out so that it's very clear. And I'll zoom in on that. So it's very clear what Ms. Norland's compensation package includes. And then there's a reference at the top to the additional 1% if she receives a favorable performance evaluation. So I think that the taxpayers and anyone interested should be able to obtain that information easily. And I would value an explanation as to why Dollar Bay is not making that readily available. Okay, so this is my final slide. These are suggestions for the Dollar Bay-Tamarack City School District, of which you know that we have presented several in our 2020 report that was already submitted to the school district. There were several suggestions. I'm sticking to the relevant suggestions of these are what's happening right now in March, with the addition of the 4th bullet point, which has to do with the no trespass directive that is still in place. And we want to make sure that that is kept in everyone's mind. I received comments to make sure to include that in my comment. So the first bullet point is, the first suggestion is to please respond to public inquiries in a timely manner. As you could see from the experience that I had obtaining information regarding the school board meeting and accommodation request, that was not timely. I still have not received any information. The second suggestion is to provide the requested FOIA information without further issue or charge. At this point, I think that the school should simply send over the invoices rather than be niggling over the petty fees and the legitimacy of the request, but we are being charged an exorbitant fee. Could the school district consider just providing the information and calling it good to work with the citizens rather than against us? The third item is, third suggestion is to provide a response regarding the status and scoring of the superintendent-principal evaluation. I've said this several times. I've repeated it several times. Apologies for that, but it's very unclear as to why we'd have a request outstanding since December. And then the last item is to please remove the baseless, meritless, no trespass directive placed by Christina Norland against myself and Cindy Barth that was placed after we requested public information in 2019 relative to the school bond election. The circumstances during the date in question have been debunked by witnesses, and it was reportedly influenced by board member Jeff Stevens and his teacher daughter, Kim Peltier, as some of the background for triggering or initiating this, this unjust and unfair punishment toward taxpaying citizens that are getting involved in participating in our local government. So regardless of, I mean, it's been so discussed that it's challenging to delve back into it, and it would take time, but I am willing to present another comment to go into more depth on that, to create a presentation, to make sure that everyone's on the same page with the background of this story, including the new information of the very clear witness that came forward last year in 2020 and stated an entirely different thing happened than was presented to Cindy and I. So I may do a whole separate presentation about this because this is unjust. It's unfair. It was not fair at the time, but the least the school district could do is to stop supporting it and say that enough is enough. It's been 17 months. How much longer will the Dollar Bay-Tamarack City School District continue before the taxpayers are freed from your collective injustice? And I understand that you all stand by that. You're supporting Superintendent Norland. She has your confidence in all of the matters that we're aware of. And yet it seems that there comes a point where we could let the past be in the past by saying that we're not going to continue this trespass directive. So I want to make sure that I keep that active and in the mind of yourselves and anyone else that's watching this, that we're seeing actions that do not demonstrate courtesy, that do not demonstrate kindness, and that are happening not infrequently with the Dollar Bay School District. We would like to see that change. We're very interested in seeing that change on behalf of the citizens group, on behalf of myself. And in the meantime, I want to make it clear what's happening so that no one is confused or wondering what the citizens are discussing. There's been some decent detail that's provided in this. I'm available at any time to provide more detail. And I do hope that the school board and the school superintendent will consider the suggestions provided in this public comment. And if you have made it to the end of it, I also thank you for your time in hearing it. So thanks for allowing me to present it. And that is all for this comment. Thank you.